Okay, guys, we only have about 15 people in the meeting, so we'll give them 1 or 2 minutes to join, and then we're going to start back again. While you are waiting, you can read the example on page 462. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and take the attendance because everybody should have rejoined right away. We just left a couple minutes ago, so they should have been ready to rejoin. Word of advice for those students, right as we were closing the meeting, a couple of students said boring and yeah. Your teachers can see you, they can see your mics, they know who you are. Be smart. Don't make negative comments in front of your teachers. It's not polite, it's bad manners. Okay? And trust me, anything that I am talking about is something that you will use later. And whether you see it as boring now or not, it will be beneficial to you later on. So your teachers can see you when you make comments. They can see your microphone. They know when it's on. They know when it's off. They know who you are. Don't make negative comments like that for no reason. Try to learn something. All right, Abdurrahman Kareem. Abdurrahman Kareem. Adito.
Here.
Thank you. Basil. Basil. Basil, you have your microphone turned off. You have to turn your microphone on, Basil. You have it turned off. And I don't mean you don't have it connected. It's not showing next to your name. You have the mic disabled. Muaz, also, your mic is disabled. Please connect your mics. Basil, if you don't know how to connect it, ask someone to help you. Iyad Adil.
Here.
Iyad Tamer.
Here.
Hamza.
Here.
Muaz.
Here.
Muhammad.
Here.
Mustafa. Mustafa. Omar. Omar, for these students who constantly don't attend the sessions, they lose marks for no reason. Okay, Tyre.
Here.
Thank you. Wahba.
Miss, I'm here.
Thank you. Yasin. Yasin. Yusuf. Yusuf. Isol. Isol. Farah.
Here.
Thank you. Farida?
Here.
Thank you. Jada?
Here.
Thank you. Jenna?
Here.
Thank you. Jemana?
Here.
Thank you. Leanne?
Here.
Thank you. Leela? Leela? Medic?
Here.
Thank you. Pilar?
Here.
Thank you. Reem?
Here.
Thank you. Redmini?
Yes, Miss Amanda.
Thank you. And Tia. All right, guys. So we're going to read on page 462 an example of expository writing. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. Sarah, read the first 2, please. And
Yes.
Sarah, I want you to read the first 2. What about the second 2?
Okay, I read the first two.
Yes, please.
Okay. People caused the problem. When large numbers of people first moved to Florida more than a century ago, the Everglades was thought to be nothing but swampland. No one paid much attention to the beauty of the area or its importance to the wildlife living there. In the 1920s, engineers straightened rivers. They built thousands of miles of canals and dikes. They hoped to stop flooding and keep water supplies stable for farms and cities. The plan worked.
Mama?
Uh, but the changes also harmed the Everglades. The area shrank in size by half. Much of the fresh water disappeared, and the numbers of birds, alligators, and other animals shrank too. Everything depends on water, says Sandy Dayoff, who works for Everglades National Park. Not only having enough water, but the right amount at the right time. Dayoff compares Everglades to a giant bathtub. In the rainy season, the tub is full. In the dry season, it slowly drains. But humans are getting in the way of both parts of the natural cycle.
Okay, so if we notice her title says people cause the problem. So she's talking about how the numbers of the animals have decreased because their habitat has decreased by half of its size. This is from people changing the rivers, they're straightening it out because they want to keep the river flowing, but they want to use the land next to it. So when they make changes to the habitat, it harms the animals that live there. And she says she references it here that everything is like a giant bathtub. If the tub is full, in the rainy season, then there's enough water. If the dry season, it slowly drains, and so the water goes away. And the humans are keeping the natural cycle of the rain and the way that the water is held. They're changing it, so it's harming the habitat for the animals. Now, when Farah and Wahba read this, I found it to be interesting. It's interesting how she talks about the way that they change the land and then she compares it to a bathtub. She doesn't just come on and say, uh, the water, if there's not enough water, then the animals are going to die. And if there's not enough water, some of them are not going to make it and make it harder for the species to live. She gives interesting ways by talking about how the land has decreased by half, how they're changing the canals and the dikes, how they're straightening rivers. She explains in a way that is interesting to read. She also uses here the reference of the comparison to a bathtub, which is an interesting way to think about how the water affects the animals. Okay, So notice the way that your writer is writing. Notice the information that they are giving to you and how they are giving it to you. Because a lot of being a good writer is about the way you deliver the information. Okay? This story is written by Lisa Sharifi. She is a fourth grader just like you, or she was when she wrote the story. Okay? All right, let's read this one now. And again, we're going to pay attention to the way that she delivers her information. Okay, it's important to pay attention to the way she delivers her information. Reem, do you keep raising your hand because you want to read?
Yes.
Okay, honey, you take your name out of the list every time you raise your hand. When I choose, your name is not in the list because you raise your hand. Yes, Jada. Do you have a question?
No, I want to read.
Okay, guys, again, I told you, when you raise your hands, you remove your name from our list. So when I look down to find someone to read, your name is not there. All right, Reem, you can read the first paragraph.
Yeah.
And Farida, I want you to read the second paragraph.
Of course.
Okay, go ahead. The topic that Lisa has chosen is rainforest. Go ahead, honey.
Rainforest. A surprising fact about plants and animals is that half of all speci- species live in rainforest. However, only 7% of rainforests remain in the world. If all the rainforests are destroyed, th- then half of all our species of plants and animals life will be too.
Same of the animal living in the rain forests are chimpanzees, toucans, frang-
Frangipani.
frangipani, and caterpillars, butterflies, boa
Constrictors.
constrictors, tree frogs, and mountain gorillas. You can barely find two plants and animals that are alike because each is unique and beautiful in its own way. Rainforests are our tropical treasures. Lisa Sharifi.
Okay. So she introduces by talking about how half of the animals and the different species in the world all come from the rainforest. And that only 7% of the rainforest that we used to have still remain. People have destroyed this habitat over the years, building buildings, building housing developments, building shopping malls, different places that they have cut down the wood, they have removed the water, they have changed lakes, they have changed rivers and streams. They have destroyed 93% of the rainforest that used to be on the earth. This is why there's a big campaign to try to save the rainforest, because lots of animals and plants come from the rainforest. And we get lots of supplies from the rainforest as well. Medicines, we will read, I think we read about this in the practice workbook. Okay, so lots of animals that live in the rainforest, their numbers have decreased. And she says you can barely find two that are alike because they're so unique and beautiful. She's saying it is such a shame that people are not trying to take care of these rainforests. So she gives us the information about how the rainforest is being destroyed. She gives us the information about how the animals that live there are unique and special and that we should be taking care of them. This is the information she presents in her writing. I wanted to tell you here that frangipani is a type of caterpillar. It's frangipani caterpillars. And boa constrictors is a big snake, for those people who didn't know. Okay, so these are two examples of expository writing. One a little more formal than the other, but both doing the same job, giving us information about their topic. Okay, all right, let's turn now to page 464. 1 second, I will save the last meeting. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the top of the page. These are features of expository writing. Okay, expository writing, writing that gives facts and information about a topic. Now, this is what good expository writing has. If you're going to write a paper of expository writing, your writing should include these things. Basil, can you read the box for us, please?
Yes. Definition and
Honey, you have to raise your voice so I can hear you.
definition and feature. Expository writing presents information about a topic. Good expository writing presents a main idea and
You got to get closer to
support
your mic so we can hear you well.
it with facts and details, gives important information about a topic, summarize information from a variety of different resources, draws a
Conclusion?
conclusion based on the information presented, use translation words to connect ideas.
Okay. So let's take a look at each one of these separately. The first one says, presents main ideas and supports it with facts and details. So we know that when we do, Dan, mute your mic, please. When we write expository writing, our job is to give facts and information about our topic. Okay? This is our job. We give a main idea and we give details that support our main idea. Where do we get this information from? Once we decide what we're going to write about, we have to research. Maybe we can watch a video. Maybe we can watch a documentary. Maybe we can watch TV, National Geographic. Maybe we can watch the History Channel. Maybe we can Google our information. Maybe we can read a book about our information. There are many different places that we can get information about our topic. Once we get all of that information, we have to summarize it. We're going to take the most important parts. This is where the outline comes in. You can use the outline to put your information together. When you are writing a paper, you can make an outline and include all the information that you have. Then you can go back and remove things that you don't think you need. For instance, if you watch a video about how to take care of a zebra, okay, and what they need, you can write down all the information that you take from the video. Then maybe you read a book that tells you about taking care of zebras and you add information to the information that you already have. What you now need to do is organize your information. So this is where you summarize and you put it in an outline. When we put the information in an outline, we organize the information. Remember how we made all of the English together in our outline and how we made all of the French together in our outline and how we made all of the science together in our outline. You take your information and you organize it in an outline and put it together. Use the steps. Roman numerals for main topics, capital letters for the subtopics, the details about your main ideas. Your main idea and your main topic is the same thing. The topic that you are talking about is the title that you put at the top, your topic. Your main topics are your main ideas. Underneath that, with capital letters, we put details. We can use numbers, like I showed you, regular numbers that we use every day to add more details about each topic. It depends on what you're talking about. If you're going to talk about the main idea, underneath you will put details. If you're going to give a detail about a detail, you write it underneath the detail. Whatever you are talking about, your information goes under it, okay? Once you have read all the information or watched the videos or written down notes from the library, you take all your information and you draw a conclusion. What did you learn? What was important? What was the important information? And based on the information that you're giving us, why did you tell us that? What is the reason that you chose to tell us this information? This is how we draw a conclusion. Like for instance, if I write the paper about about taking care of the zebra, and I tell you how to feed it, how to um, give it a safe place to sleep, how to exercise the animal, how to groom the animal and take care of him. Once I finish, I have to draw a conclusion. All of this information that I gave you now has told you how to take care of this animal. So at the end of my paper, I need a conclusion that explains what my information gave you. We use transition words to connect ideas. We're going to go through each one piece by piece. We're going to go over to the next. Let's go to the next page, and I want to show you some of the transition words. On page 465. When you are writing, you use transition words to help your writer understand. Just like when we do compare and contrast, we use compare and contrast words like both, different, alike, the same, on the other hand. These are words that show how things are alike or different when we compare and contrast. When we do expository writing, we use what we call transition words. And these are words that connect ideas together, like finally, which shows it's at the end of what you were talking about. However, which means something is a little bit different, but when we want to say things are not the same. As a result of, meaning that it happened because of something else. These are transition words that we use to connect ideas because we're presenting facts. So we want to be thorough in what we're presenting and we want to make it easy for our reader to understand. Okay? Here she talks about in the writing about the Everglades, where we were talking about the habitat being changed because of the changing of the rivers. She says, but the changes also harm the Everglades. So she talks about how they've built up the area and they've made big buildings and they changed the rivers. But she wants you to know, but this is a transition word. Even though she's saying that they've done good things in the area, that transition shows us that something harmful has happened to the area, okay? So we use those transition words when we are presenting facts and information because it helps our reader understand what they are reading. All right, let's go over to the practice workbook, page 97A. Page 97A. All right. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to read the paragraph for letter A. I want you to read the paragraph and underline the sentence in the paragraph that tells us the main idea. Once you find the main idea, raise your hand, please. Okay, everybody should be done reading by now. Leanne, can you tell us what the main idea is?
The main idea is people can protect nature and help themselves at the same time.
Okay, so that's sentence number 1. That is correct. People can protect nature and help themselves at the same time. What you are reading in this paragraph are all details that support the idea that people can protect nature and help themselves. Okay, Leanne, why don't you read the paragraph for us, please? Hello, Leanne.
Sure. People can protect nature and help themselves at the same time. For example, salmon swims upstream in rivers to breed and to die. When they cannot make it upstream, they cannot survive. People have built dams on rivers to create low-cost electricity. The dams keep the salmon from making it upstreams. What did people in Washington state do? They built steps into the dams and salmon jump up step by step to the water above. Washington state and salmon are in a win-win situation. Finally, the result is new generations of salmon and low-cost electricity for people.
Okay, so the what the what this is explaining is how they built a dam in the water because they want to make low cost electricity. This is an easy way to make electricity by putting the dam in the water, and they save money by doing it. But at the same time, the dams are keeping the salmon from swimming upstream. Salmon, when they swim, go against the water. Like if the water, say, imagine the water is running down, the salmon swim up. They go against the water. So because the dam has held the water back, it's difficult for the salmon to swim upstream. So the people in Washington, this is Washington State, the people in Washington have built steps into the dam so that the salmon can pass through those steps by jumping into the water. And as they jump through, they're able to swim upstream. So they found a way to make low cost electricity and save the salmon. All of this information is showing us how people can protect nature, building the steps to take care of the salmon, and help themselves at the same time because they are getting low cost electricity from the dam. Okay? All right, let's read the questions. Number 1, read number 1 for me, please. Malik, do you have a, Malik, Reem, Leanne, Yad, do you guys have questions? If you don't have a question, please put your hand down. Okay, Yad, what's your question?
No, I just want to answer.
Okay, put your hand down, please. Okay. Adito, can you read number 1 for us, please? Hello, Adito. Okay, ISO, can you read number 1 for us, please? Okay. Yad, can you read number 1 for us, please? I'm sorry, number 2. Sorry, number 2.
Okay. Yeah, sure. What example does the author give to support the main idea?
Okay, so the main idea says that we can protect nature and help ourselves at the same time. What example does the author give to support that?
The people of Washington
Yeah,
state built a dam with steps for jump up.
Okay, that's right. They built a dam that allows the salmon to jump up step by step, and it also creates electricity for the people. So it's a benefit for the people and a benefit for the salmon. Thank you, Ed. Okay, number 3. Read number 3, please. Very interesting when I see people join the meeting and then I go to ask them questions and I found they are no longer in the meeting. So they only come for attendance and then they leave. Please let your friends know who do that I don't mark them present. Hamza, can you read number 3, please?
Okay. Number 3. What are two transitions, words, or phrases the author uses in paragraph?
Okay. 2 transition words or phrases that he uses in the paragraph. Can you find?
Okay.
Remember, transition words are words that link one idea to another.
I'm finding a word.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead, look. If you find a transition word, raise your hand, please. Okay, Ragmini, what transition word did you find?
Win-win situation.
Yeah, that's not a transition. We want a transition, a word that tells us how to go from one thought to another. It connects the two thoughts. Reem?
So we just learned today that story beginning, right? So the beginning should be interesting.
Finally, for example, and finally.
That's exactly right. That's the two of them. We have at the very beginning, for example, it gives the main idea and then it says, for example. So it's connecting the main idea to the example that it is given. Very good, Reem. Then at the end, we have how it talks about the dam being a win-win situation, good for the people and good for the salmon. And she says, finally, she's connecting the last thought to the rest of the paragraph. Very good, Reem, excellent. So it is, for example, and finally. Okay, now, what is the conclusion stated in the paragraph? Remember, the conclusion is the final thought. What did you learn? What did you come up with? What is your thinking based on what you have read? What is the conclusion? Abdurrahman?
Yes, Miss Amanda.
What is the conclusion in our paragraph? Based on what we read, what is our final thought? What do we think about the information that we have read and that she has presented? Jemana, can you help us out?
Yes, sure.
What's the conclusion? Based on all that we read, what do we now know? Okay, Leanne, you help us out.
Finally, there is a generations of salmon and low-cost electricity for people.
That's exactly right. based on everything that we read, we understand that Washington State and Salmon are in a win-win situation. The result is that they have new generations of salmon and low-cost electricity for people. So the conclusion is in the last two sentences, and it is written, sorry, I'm trying to move your box with your names. Okay, and the summary of this paragraph it's asking you to write a summary of the paragraph in 1 or 2 sentences. Okay, if you want, you can just write the last sentence. The last sentence summarizes the whole paragraph. The result is new generations of salmon and low-cost electricity for people using the dam. Okay, they are using the dam to get this result. New generations of salmon and low-cost electricity. Also, you can summarize the main idea, which says that people can protect nature and help themselves at the same time. We can use that. We can say people use nature's resources without harming. Okay, this is what we've learned in the paragraph, that it is possible to use nature's resources to benefit ourselves and at the same time protect the animals. Okay, anybody have questions about the lesson today?
No.
All right, we will continue next time.
Yes, I have.
What's the question, Mayan?
I don't understand what does mean transition.
We'll talk more about transition next time. So it's time for your next session, okay? I'll make sure when we
Okay,
discuss
thank you.
next time, you can remind me. We'll talk about transition. We will do that on Sunday, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, have a great weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye.